What do you think is the greatest threat to the United States right now, and how can we defeat it?
Well, it depends in terms of proximity. The close threat, the most imminent one, is of course the jihadis that created September the 11th, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. That's the 5-meter target, that's the close-range target. But now, under the leadership of President Trump, under the offices of Secretary Mattis, we're crushing them in Syria and Iraq. So we'll deal with that. The medium-term threat is the Shia jihadis. This is Iran, this is the Republican Guard, the Quds Force, Hezbollah. If they get nuclear weapons, that's a game changer, and that's why it was so important the president decertified the Iran deal yesterday. But for me, the long-term threat, this is something I learned from Steve Bannon working in the White House with him, the real long-term problem is China. China is at economic war with us today. They are undermining us politically in the intelligence field, and they're trying to intimidate their neighbors militarily. So we need to have a plan to deal with a hegemonic China, because that's the real long-term threat.
It seems like the president's been relying on China to deal with North Korea. I guess there's really our relationship with China is not as the president's portrayed it.
No, I mean, China has the most leverage to deal with North Korea. And the fact that the president and Ambassador Haley at the UN have managed to convince China that even if you're in a competition with us, you will not profit by having a nuclear war on your border, and they joined us with Russia, that's a big deal, in the tightest sanctions package against North Korea in history. That tells you how big a problem North Korea is. So China may be our long-term enemy, but they don't want a war on their back doorstep either.
What would a Trump doctrine look like compared to his Republican predecessor, George Bush? I think a lot of Americans are concerned if we do blow up Afghanistan off the map or North Korea, that are we going to nation build after that? And is freedom innate to the human soul so that these people will adapt in a more Americanized ideology?
Great question. So first things first, this is not a neoconservative, adventurist administration. The president is not interested in intervention. He has said before he became president and after he became president, I do not do nation building. He's interested in helping our friends and neighbors be safe, but the people he is here to protect are the American people. Remember what he said when he pulled us out of the Paris Accord. He said, I was elected by the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris. So this is not a Bush Mark III administration. It's not isolationist, nor is it expansive interventionism. It's that safe, common sense middle track that looks at our interests first.
Where did you, when you resigned from the White House or decided to leave from the White House, I think you said that you departed with the president on national security issues. How so?
Not with the president, with the team that was supporting the president. So you can read my resignation letter at Breitbart.com, and I was very clear that when he was given a speech to read on Afghanistan, that was missing the key word that was in every speech he'd given to Congress, in Israel, in Saudi Arabia, that phrase, radical Islamic terrorism. When that was deleted from his speech on Afghanistan, I said, you know, the people who are not part of the Trump agenda are now in control. I can best serve the president on the outside, and that's what I'm doing. The day after I resigned, he contacted me, said he's going to stick to his agenda, but he wants me to help him from the outside, and that's what people like Steve Bannon and myself are doing.
So more on a domestic front, besides fighting jihad, we're also fighting a culture war.
Yes.
Where you and Sebastian Gorka are white supremacists. In fact, just a few weeks before you resigned, the Democrats were demanding that you resign because you're an advocate of white supremacy.
Yeah.
How is that propaganda going to be defeated? Because it's nothing new. It's a decades-old propaganda scheme that the Democrats have successfully implemented among the youth and minorities.
That is a fabulous question. You really get it. Andrew Breitbart was so right when he said politics is downstream from culture. The rot begins with culture. When we, the conservatives, surrendered the high schools and the colleges in the 60s and 70s to the radicals, when people like Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dawn, terrorists, can become tenured professors in Chicago.
Now Hillary's going to be a professor at Columbia, apparently. That's on the Drudge Report.
God protect those poor students. When we allowed them to fill that vacuum, we surrendered the culture wars to the left, to the readers of Saul Alinsky, to the crypto-Marxists, to the crypto-Maoists. But don't worry, what happened on November the 8th? The outsider won. Look at the people who accuse me or Steve of being racist or being xenophobes. They're losing every day. CNN, the massive, Anderson Cooper, rock star, less than 800,000 people watch his show every night. How many people live in America? 330 million, and he can't even get 1 million people to watch his show. Look at the stats for Sean Hannity. Look at the stats for Breitbart. We are taking America back one issue at a time.